Hey guys, welcome to Rosie's Dessert Spot. In this video, I'll be demonstrating how to create this 2-tier marbled engagement cake. I've used a 9-inch and a 6-inch cake to complete this project. Stick your cake onto your cake board with a little bit of frosting. I've used chocolate ganache, and then fill in the layers as you normally would. This is a mud cake filled with chocolate ganache, alternating with a caramel butterscotch and chocolate chip cake. You can marble the two together. I decided to bake two separate cakes like this and just alternate the flavors, one on, one off. Once all your cakes have been stacked, it's time to create the crumb coat. Normally I do a crumb coat, I refrigerate, and then I add a final layer of frosting. Here I just went in with one coat and it worked great. Best practice is to do the crumb coat and the final coat later as well. However, I wasn't feeling the best and I wanted to get this cake done ASAP. So into the fridge she goes to set, and then do the exact same thing with your top tier. This is a white chocolate and raspberry cake. Because it's going to be covered in fondant, you want the outside to be ganache. This is why I created the ring and then filled in with some white chocolate ganache and raspberry frosting. If that was on the outside, it's not going to be very stable and it'll interfere with your final layer. That's why I have that ring there to make sure it doesn't come out the side. On goes the final layer of frosting. Again, just using some ganache. Then once it's all covered, go over it with a bench scraper to make sure it's nice and smooth and pop it into the fridge. You'll notice that I didn't take off that top lip of frosting. I wanted to cut that off to make nice sharp edges at the top using a hot sharp knife. A paring knife will do the job. Once you have cut off the edges, go over with a hot spatula to clear up any frilly areas that are still sort of on there. Do the same with your top tier. And back into the fridge they go. I like to keep my cakes in the fridge at least overnight when I know I'm going to be covering them with frosting. This just makes sure that the ganache on the outside has had ample time to set. Sometimes fondant doesn't want to stick to your ganache, so you can go over it with a little bit of vegetable shortening as a glue base. And because I'm making a marbled fondant effect, I've taken 2 balls of fondant, added a little bit of royal blue gel food color into one, and then royal purple into the other one, and just kind of kneading it in my hands. Take some white fondant, knead it to softness, and then roll all your colors into logs. Combine the logs. I have some blue and purple on either side, and then begin twisting to create your marble effect. The more you twist, the more colors will show through in your marble. Twist that into a bowl, and then if you like you can start rolling it out now. I decided to roll it out into a log instead. Twist some more, and then I used that as my marble base. As a non-stick agent, I've got some cornstarch. I'm just rolling it out to about 3 millimeters in thickness. As you roll your fondant, make sure you move it around so it doesn't stick to your countertop, and regularly add on some more cornstarch. You could also use vegetable shortening to make sure that it doesn't stick. Grab your fondant, drape it over your cake, and push out any of the air that's trapped at the very top. Your first step here is to secure that top edge. Because your cake is really sharp, that's where it's going to break first, so make sure you secure that nice and tightly. Undo those pleats and massage the fondant onto your cake. Smooth down the sides, then cut off the excess nice and close to the edge of the cake so it's flush. I like to go in with 2 fondant smoothers at the very top edge to make it nice and sharp, and just pinching the fondant to create that edge. I was pretty satisfied with that. Press out any air with a pin if you need to, and then into the fridge. I like to add my cakes in the fridge just to rest, or you can keep them at room temperature too if there's no perishable fillings. Then work on your top tier. This I kept just white and followed the exact same steps. For the bottom tier, you do need to add some dowels. I've added in bubble tea straws, 4 of them, to support the weight of the cake. Cut the straws flush with the very top of the cake. To adhere the top tier, add on some frosting. Some people also like to use white chocolate or dark chocolate. Center your cake and then carefully take out the spatula, not like I did here. Lucky it's fondant so I could easily push it back to the center. Use the fondant smoother to push that fondant back in place. go in with a ribbon, and I've used some Dimentis. They are adhesive backing, and I placed it directly over the join of the ribbon so it's secured on there. Go around, keeping it nice and close to the cake so it's flush with the bottom, and do the same for your bottom tier as well. These are orchids that I've used in this cake. To make them food safe, I've popped toothpicks into the orchid and I'm sticking the toothpick in the cake. And that's how it's done. I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial and you give it a go. If you do, hashtag Rosie's Dessert Spot so we can see it as well. If you haven't subscribed, feel free to do so. We upload a new cake decorating video every Tuesday. Thanks again, and I'll catch you next week.